Yeah, I think that's right. I have no idea.
Actually, not to interrupt, but just to follow up from that, I just thought of something. I feel like now actually mainstream media actually takes a lot of stories from the internet. So if something goes viral on the internet, they'll actually do a story about it now. So that
without
could be interesting.
without saying where they got it from.
No, I mean, well, it depends. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell where something has come from originally, but like on YouTube, for example, that happens a lot of times if a video goes viral, and it can be something as stupid as a cat video or a video of a dog or something. I'll actually see stories on the morning news about it. Um, saying, "Oh, this cat video got 1 million views," and they'll actually show it.
I
So
saw
that's interesting.
I saw one yesterday, which was of a crow that was feeding a young cat.
Really?
Yeah,
That's cool.
and it had been videoed by this old couple,
Ah,
and I suppose they probably put it up on some on YouTube or something like that. But it had been
yeah, and maybe they shared it on Facebook or something. Yeah.
and they but it made it onto a news program.
Yeah, see?
But
So actually, the mainstream media is now sometimes culling their stories, I think, from the internet and taking their cues from that.
which means that the internet is sort of leading the whole thing, or
I
some
think so.
or some of it.
I think
I mean,
so.
it's very interesting. Another thing I added into my comments in response to Audrey's Hill, that I was watching Alex Jones on Infowars
Hmm.
yesterday, and he was making a suggestion that the White House, um, since it was getting such bad coverage from mainstream media, should just stop having press conferences
Wow.
and put out statements, of what the president was doing and stuff like that. And and he said I thought it was a good point. He said they don't need to have press conferences. They could just have they could do the whole thing on the internet in some way or other.
Yeah.
And
I'm.
I thought if that happens, then that's another uh, nail in the coffin for the mainstream media,
Yeah.
who I think at the moment are sort of fighting against people like Alex Jones and
Hmm. Hmm.
um,
Yeah. I think at the moment, I feel like the only thing the mainstream media really has above the internet, at least at first glance, is just a professional quality of filming. Um, which I don't know how important it really is. I think I was thinking about it this week that there's a lot we could do, obviously, just with like Skype interviews, or people who have their own kind of Skype shows, or just webcam shows that they film themselves at home. And I don't know, I mean, how much does it bother people as viewers to see something that doesn't look professional, that's not filmed in professional quality? I don't know.
well, I watched quite a few sort of car not webcams,
Oh, dash cams.
dash
Yep.
cam videos, which aren't professional quality ever, but they're very watchable.
Well,
I remember watching one recently of a guy driving past a big forest fire, flames going up in the air and cars dodging
wow.
stuff, and it wasn't perfect, but it was very watchable. Same with that crow feeding the cat.
Yeah.
That wasn't very high quality, but
Yeah.
still. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I thought, but I think it's my own feeling is that I can't really see the need these days for sort of newspaper or TV outfits where they have everything centralized in one place. When you can have, when I, for example, could become a reporter at the drop of a hat using for example, my car dash cam.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And, or if I had um, a, a recorder, like an iPhone or something like that,
Yeah.
I could instantly become a reporter. And also an editor who comments on what he's just been watching.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Uh, so I think these centralized studios, like the one you're working in at the moment, are going to vanish.
I like how you have your Beck's bottle right there.
Yeah, I'm being very I'm being very. Can you see how upfront I'm being about?
Yeah, I noticed that.
I've got a um, cardboard box on which I can rest my hand, which
Ah, okay.
it's something I'm going to try and work on this a bit more to always keep a cigarette in view.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that because we could do kind of props that are hidden from view, but
Well,
hmm.
I've got my webcam down low.
I'll put mine a little lower. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, see, that looks better already.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of got a little bit of lighting, which I don't know whether it's picking up the smoke.
Yeah, my background is a little too busy. That's the problem. Ugh.
Yeah, this idea of doing what I'm doing right now, which is keep the cigarettes in view, um, only came to me last night, and I thought, why hadn't I thought of that before?
It's a brilliant idea.
And the bottle as well, of course.
Yeah. I'll have to get something to prop my hold on. See if I have anything. It's not enough. Mm. Oh man, still not enough
What?
to get my beer in view.
Oh, I see. You're going to lift your beer up.
There we go. It's not very good.
Yeah.
There, how's that?
I can't see it. I can just see it. I'm
Oh.
obscuring it. It
Oh.
doesn't matter.
So I noticed last night this that you know that guy
Lamp or something
Oh
like
good.
that too,
Yeah,
and I didn't notice there's any problem at all.
that's good.
I might mess around with my lighting a bit. I always seem to have a very bright face.
Yeah, it looks good, I think. I don't know. Do you have a lamp above you?
I've got two lamps. Well, most of the light's coming from the window, which is in front of me,
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
and I've also got an angle poise lamp off to my right, which is not pointing at me, but is providing some lighting. And I also got some light coming from the webcam, which has got built-in LEDs in
Oh,
it,
okay. Mm-hmm.
which I can turn up and down. That's off.
Ah, okay.
That's maximum brightness, and I had it down about that, I think.
Yeah, that looks right.
But I'm thinking of getting something off to the side.
Yeah.
And maybe also do that thing that I was suggesting, which is record the webcams, put the webcams to the side. You've got a separate webcam, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got the separate one. I haven't even tried hooking it up to my new computer yet, but I could. Yeah.
But that would be an interesting thing too, because if we could get side by side
Yeah.
videos with people appearing to look at each other,
Yeah. That would be good. Yeah.
it'd be like being in a studio together.
Yeah, it's true.
Wouldn't know what to look at, but
Yeah. I know that's the only problem, but there's got to be a way around that. Hmm. That's the thing. In a TV studio, they also have monitors, don't they? That people sometimes are looking at the monitors.
I don't know. I've never been in a TV studio.
I mean, our studio has a monitor, but actually, I find it distracting because they tell us not to look at it, but to look above it at the camera. So it's hard though because you want to look at the monitor itself.
Yeah, it's like at the moment I'm spending most of my time either looking at you or myself, but
Yeah,
not at the
not at the camera.
not at the
Yeah.
webcam.
Yeah, see that right now I'm looking right at the webcam. Do you notice a difference?
Yes, you're looking,
Yeah.
and I'm looking right at the webcam right now.
Oh yeah, there is a difference. Yeah. But it's hard to do that because you're not focusing on the person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
want to read their lips and their gestures and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Still, yeah, we'll become really professional in,
Yeah.
in a few
I
weeks.
feel like you and I are already getting a certain level of proficiency with it, but I mean just through trial and error, but
Yeah, well, we seem to be the only ones who aren't having problems. I wanted to, like for the last day or so, I've been reading Vaclav Havel, which is
oh yeah.
that's what my blog post is about today,
Mhm.
and that's very interesting because he was facing in Czechoslovakia same sort of thing we're all facing now.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was interesting how you said that we should look more toward the example of dissidents, such as him, than to people like Martin Luther King, and that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, because I think that the circumstances were very different. I mean, Martin Luther King was about civil rights and for blacks, and in America, which is prosperous and democratic and capitalistic and all the things that uh, the Soviet Union wasn't. And but now, as I was saying, I sort of feel that in the EU we're living in a kind of new Soviet Union. And in fact, Mikhail Gorbachev said that that's what the EU seemed to be to him.
That's pretty interesting. I was trying to think about how that translates to America right now because it's not quite the same situation because we're not in the EU. But I do think we're starting, I think, to come into this era of almost of ideological totalitarianism. So I think there's still some comparison to be made to that. I mean, we still live in a democratic country ostensibly, but I do think that there is a certain level of that way of thinking in America as well.
Oh,
That it's
yeah,
yeah.
I think so because I was listening to someone who was saying that the left in America sort of rather idolizes the EU.
Oh
That's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
that's where they want to go.
I hear people, at my work talking about like the same kind of people who lamented the fact that Trump was elected. They also talk the same way about the Brexit vote. It's like to them it really is all one in the same package. And it's, you know, just that type of person. They just really are worried um, about Brexit. So
What worries them about Brexit?
I think they see it as I think at the ground level, from what I can make out, they see it as just a racist, xenophobic vote. That the people would just don't like foreigners. They don't want to be part of the EU. They don't want to be part of this better world of one people, one society. I guess xenophobia probably is the thing I hear the most.
Well, I think there's an element of that, but that wasn't behind my vote for Brexit.
Right. Yeah.
I voted for Brexit because the EU, when it banned smoking throughout Europe, I thought, well, I just don't want to be part of this.
Right. Yeah.
No smoker should want to be. I disagree with some of my commenters about this, you know, like Block Dwarf, who
Hmm.
I think there's going to be a lot of trouble in Europe in the coming years, because I think there's too much top-down control in the EU, and I think people are getting more and more fed up with it in all sorts of different ways. And I think that that's going to... Marine Le Pen didn't get in this time, but in another 5 years, I can well imagine that she will. I was reading something on Breitbart today about Sweden and how rape by
Mm.
immigrants was becoming a sort of non-crime.
I know that really worries me a lot. Yeah.
And I thought, you know, I couldn't stand for that. You know, what kind of people would stand for that? But, you know, it's absurd. It's really a...
I know. Well, I think the problem is that we've gotten ourselves into this bind, you know, ideologically, that we're so afraid. I think we were talking about this before. Like, we're so afraid of going to one extreme of like the Holocaust that we've gotten ourselves in a situation where we're afraid to say anything remotely xenophobic, or I don't even know what the word is. Xenophobic isn't quite right, but just we're so afraid of one extreme that we're going to another, you know? I think that's part of it. Hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I think there's going to be a reaction to that. I think it's all getting so absurd in one way or other. Smoking bans are one example. Global warming is another one. And I think it's just going to boil up more and more. And but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, yes, a lot of comments on my blog in the last few days.
Yeah. It was kind of hard to process all of them. There was so much discussion.
I think it might be because I've been quite thoughtful this week, and
Yeah.
I've been coming up with blog posts which are quite deeply thought. It takes a long time to write.
I can tell. Yeah.
It takes me hours.
It's true. Your posts this week have been very philosophical, I think. Yeah.
I don't know whether philosophical is the right word. It's just that
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
well, not what I think of being philosophical for me is some idle theory or something like that.
Yeah, true. No, but they have been very deeply thought out. Yeah. I feel like you're kind of stirring some kind of deep waters that haven't quite yet been explored. So maybe that's
Well, I
what's
think so. I mean, you know, yesterday's post was directed sort of slightly at Stephen Helfer and Audrey Silk, and Stephen Halford didn't respond, but Audrey Silk did at some length, and I thought that was interesting. But it's all very good natured. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's not because I've got a very high opinion of her. I think that I think she's. But there are some things that I disagree about, and the mainstream media versus the internet is obviously one, and I think they just need to be aired. And
I think I think this has been articulated on your blog this week, but I think there's a major difference between you and people like Audrey Silk, just in that you're not. I mean, Audrey Silk is primarily, to me, more of an activist, but you're more of a thinker. So there's a huge chasm between those two things. So, and your readers, I think, obviously know that, and I think that's why you have so many fans and so many readers. Whereas people obviously respect Audrey, but it's not quite the same thing. It's a different situation.
well, I'm quite often being ever so slightly edgy. I don't know if that's the right word. I put forward views that I'm not sure that I agree with myself, but simply to stimulate discussion. I think I need to turn the light.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe I don't.
No, it makes sense. And I mean, I don't think Audrey's even interested in that. I mean, that's just not what she does. I mean, she's not, I mean, not to be offensive, but she's not really a thinker in that sense. And she's not there to write and expound about things. She's just there to do things.
Well, I suppose what I kind of feel is that what's happening to us is so extraordinary that we really ought to be taking note of it and looking at it and exploring it, and which is why someone the last furlong, is she called? First comment under yesterday's, it was saying how I sort of articulated the experience of smoking, and that's an exploration.
Yeah.
That's.
And I think she also said, didn't she, that she said something like, "Please, Frank, don't become a political blogger," or something like that.
An activist. I didn't quite know what she meant by that. But
well, I think maybe she meant what I just said, that's not what you do. I mean, you're not an Audrey Silk, like you're not the one to go out and sue the city of New York for a smoking ban or light a cigarette in City Hall. Those are the actions of an activist, and I think not that you could never do things like that, but just that's not what your viewers like about you, or your readers, I guess I should say, not viewers, but.
Well, they're increasingly going to become viewers.
Yeah, yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of.
but I don't think. Yeah, but I'm not going to be any different on video than I am on my blog. It's why I don't really want to sort of dress up and get a better denture and stuff like that. I think that's just how I am. And,
yeah.
But I think I'm always exploring the situation that we're in because it's so strange.
Yeah, and I think people even like Stephen or Audrey, I think in a way they get kind of impatient with that exploring it. Like I've noticed this with Stephen especially, like he gets impatient when we just try to sit around and talk about things about smoking and explore the ideas in it, because I think for him it's more like, okay, then what can we do to act? I don't want to talk about it. I want to act. And I don't see it that way because I'm really interested in exploring everything inside of it because it's an interesting phenomenon. As you said, it's something, what's happening to us is so unusual. I think it's something I want to explore, but people like him, I think they're more action based.
Yeah, so I think so. I'm sort of, well, it goes back to idle theory. I'm sort of inaction based.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to. I want to try and understand what's happening and why it's happening, and
yeah, me too. Yeah,
and where it's going, and I think the whole thing has got a kind of logic to it, a logic I don't really understand.
Right. I feel the same way. It's fascinating to me, actually. In some way, when I remove myself from it, it's actually very fascinating. Although I don't enjoy being a part of it, it's still interesting.
Well, I like to kind of stand back from it all and think and just consider it from an almost abstract point of view, which I think is what Václav Havel was doing in his very long essay.
It sounded like it. He was really trying to understand the role of the dissident. He was asking seriously what is the role of a dissident? What and how can they affect a society? I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah, that's true. I didn't really
uh,
read that. I haven't really quite got to the end of it. But I was just fascinated yesterday to just to see that there were so many similarities between Czechoslovakia in 1978
yeah.
and Britain in 2017.
When I read that part that you where you wrote about the no smoking sign, I kind of had that moment. I was like, aha, like a
Yeah,
light went on. Yeah,
yeah. Well, it was a light went on for me because it was the same thing. It wasn't Workers of the World Unite.
yeah,
It was no smoking,
yeah.
and it was a sign that people didn't read and didn't want to put up, but had to put up because
Hmm.
they. And the whole thing is dishonest,
Yeah.
just like in Czechoslovakia.
No, it was a really brilliant post, I think, in a lot of ways.
Well, I felt I discovered something from reading that essay and trying to translate it to Britain today, because there seemed to be a whole lot of ways in which it could translate very directly.
Hmm.
And maybe when I first read the essay, which was I don't know when it was. Well, in fact, I didn't read the whole thing because I think I tripped over something in the essay back then, which I haven't done this time.
Hmm.
But I thought it was, I think, yeah, it's a bit like one of my favourite political writers is another Czech, um, uh, Václav Klaus, who was the
Mm.
president. And
Hmm.
he's an observant kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been writing about how what's now the Czech Republic enjoyed a few years of freedom after the Soviets withdrew, and has now got sucked into the EU,
Yeah.
which is another sort of Soviet Union.
Wow, that's really interesting. I'd like to read that. Hmm.
I can send you the link.
Sure.
He's got his own sort of English web page,
Huh.
which he doesn't write very often, but it's always very interesting when he does.
There's some really amazing Czech writers. They seem to be very good writers.
But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I find it odd that 10 years ago I was reading all the left-wing blogs.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that, but that's just how I was.
No, I mean, I was the same way. I mean, not that I read a lot of blogs, but I used to be very left wing. But I think we are living at a very critical time in history where if you're going to change from one thing to the other, it's now, I think.
Well, it's what I've done. I'd sort of like to be a conservative, but I I don't think I'll ever be a conservative because
Yeah, I'd never be a true old school conservative. At least in the U.S. conception of it, it's probably different in England.
yeah, probably slightly different. But
Yeah. My boyfriend is very, very conservative, so it's kind of funny. And when I first met him, I thought it was more amusing, but now I find myself actually agreeing with more of the stuff, but I can never go full on like, you know, he's just very like traditional conservative.
well, I think if you're going to become a true conservative, you have to dress like one.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
dress,
not necessarily. I don't know about that, but yeah.
and I don't dress like a true conservative at all.
I don't think that matters, but maybe it matters more in England than in the US. I don't know.
So like where I live now, I'm surrounded by conservatives, and I feel like a sort of hippie who's arrived
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
and that's what I am in many ways.
Yeah.
I regard myself as something of a refugee from the left-wing
You
city in which I lived.
just haven't gotten the costume yet.
Yeah, maybe in another 10 years or so, I'll have tweed jackets
Yeah.
and tweed trousers and.
Is that the, like the English conservative like Barbour and Burberry and stuff like that?
Yes, more or less.
Yeah. In the US that's like well, yeah. In the US I think it's more like you play golf and you wear polo shirts and shorts.
Uh,
Golf
I,
clothes.
I think of a conservative as being someone like Newt Gingrich.
Yeah, that's well, he's a little more religious, isn't he? I don't know.
I don't know, to be honest.
I think of him as slightly more of the Southern religious, like Southern Baptist type of conservative, which is a little bit different from the East Coast traditional conservative, which is more Protestant, I think.
I'm not discerning enough to be able to.
Or like Jim Baker, Tammy Faye Baker. They're kind of religious conservatives.
Well, I'll take your word for it. I don't know. But I have a lot more sympathy for them than I used to have.
I do too. Yeah. I mean, I don't completely agree with all of their views, but if I had to say right now, I'd say I'm more sympathetic toward them than the progressive elite that is currently.
Well, I can't stand them anymore.
No, I know. Yeah.
I really can't.
Well, I actually think they're quite dangerous. I mean, that's the part that gets me. I think right now that progressive elite is much more dangerous. I mean, who knows? Maybe when you and I were more left wing, it's possible that at that time conservatives might have been more dangerous. I don't know.
Well, I saw something yesterday which was who's that sort of cult left-wing figure who used to be a um, linguistic philosopher?
Oh,
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky. Yeah.
He was saying yesterday that the U.S. Conservative, no, Republican Party was more dangerous than ISIS.
No, no way. That's so wrong.
I just thought that was absurd.
That's so wrong. Yeah. That's a delusion.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been recording all this. I've got over. I could do it. To be honest, I'm totally, totally unscripted. Like when I get up in the morning and think, well, what am I going to write today? I don't usually know.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Do you ever get stressed out about your blog?
no.
Really?
Well,
Hmm.
how do you mean by stressed out?
I mean, if it was me, I'd be worried every day that I wouldn't have something to write about, or I'd be worried about what I was going to write about.
No, I'm not.
That's good.
I think if I was, I would I would get stressed out about it, but I don't. You
Huh.
know, I it's why I changed swap from posting last thing at night to relatively early in the morning. So that
Oh, really?
I found that if I was posting last thing at night, I was quite often quite tired, and I sometimes didn't know what to write about, and I'd go and uh, copy something out of someone else's blog or something like that, and I'd sort of feel that's not good enough. But now
Hmm.
I'm in the opposite circumstance where I spend so much time thinking about what to write that it takes a lot longer than it used to.
Hmm.
When I, because I used to be able to write a blog in half an hour, and now they're taking about 3 hours because they're all
Yeah.
carefully thought out. I mean, well, I mean they're carefully thought out as I write them, but it's taking a bit too. It's the only thing I've got about my blog at the moment. It's taking too long,
Hmm.
and
That is a lot of time. I mean, that's almost like a full-time job, really.
then you have to respond. The comments, but I only respond to comments which say something which is either asking me a very direct question or has um, prompted me to think in some way.
Hmm.
Like Audrey Silk's comment today prompted me to respond. But she could have easily just written something that I thought, well, that's interesting, and I'll just leave it as that.
Hmm.
Um,
But when did you switch from doing last thing at night to the morning?
a few months ago,
Ah.
I'm going to go and have to take a leak.
Yeah, I'll go too. Yeah.
Yeah, the morning thing, writing in the morning, is that I get up in the morning, and I write a journal
When do you usually write in your journal?
any time of day. But usually in the morning, when I wake up, my mind is a bit of a blank, and so I start my journal by putting the date. So I write the date at the top. And then there's a long delay which can last about an hour or 2 hours. And I just don't write anything. But my head is full of all sorts of ideas swirling around. And I've found that most of the interesting ideas that I have come at the end of that. And I suddenly pick up on something and think, find a new way of looking at it. Um, and then things come to light, and quite often that turns into a blog post. Um,
Do you think that writing this blog has almost made it more not disciplined, but that it's made it coalesce into an actual schedule for you, whereas it wouldn't have been like that before?
I don't have a schedule. I don't. At the moment, I sort of try and post something up around noon, but I don't really care whether it is an hour or two earlier or an hour or two later.
Yeah, I notice it's always by the time I get up in the morning and I'm ready for work and I check my email, you usually have a new post up. So it's around then. Yeah.
And but anyway, I seem to have most of my ideas in the morning, whereas in the past it used to be last thing at night.
Huh.
I don't know why that's happened.
Well, I guess that's what I mean. Like maybe because of your blog, I wonder if that's actually changed when you've had your ideas.
I don't think it's. I don't think the blog has very much effect on when I have my ideas, or if I have any ideas. You know,
Or it's the other way around. Maybe you write your blog now because your ideas are in the morning. Hmm.
yes, that's very much the way it is. But they come. They're strange ideas because they come out of a kind of whirl of ideas, or sort of mixtures of ideas, and the whole thing. I really have sort of my head spinning in the morning,
Really?
and
Huh.
yeah, a bit. You know, not in any unpleasant way, but I don't. I'm not focused on anything. I tend to get much more focused later on in the day.